Can we have our next speaker is Dr. Naveen Garg. He's from professor at SGPGI. He's be talking about Selexipag. Sorry, Dr. Garg.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Marwa, and good afternoon, everybody. Now I shall be discussing about Selexipag. As already told by Dr. Negi, that in PAH, these three pathways are very active. And if you really want to treat PAH, you have to manage these three pathways. And we have multiple molecules which are available to us. For endothelin pathway, we have endothelin receptor antagonist. For this nitric oxide pathway, we have phosphodiesterase inhibitor. And for prostacyclin pathway, we have different prostanoids. So most of these agents are orally effective, and prostanoids, which are available, treprostinil and evoprostenol, you have to give from other routes. And these prostanoids basically transform the care of PAH patient. And epoprostenol remains one of the few PAH therapy which reduces mortality. And in the REVEAL study, it was demonstrated that 40% patients who do not receive this prostanoid at the time of death, most of the 40% patients were not on the prostanoids. So this is one agent which can reduce mortality and improve prognosis of patients with pulmonary arterial hypertension. But the problem with this epoprostenol is it has a very short half-life. So you need to give it either by continuous IV infusion or subcutaneous infusion. And because you have to give it by continuous infusion, so patient has to be on pumps. So it is extremely inconvenient. And there are certain complications which are associated with the lines can be there in these patients. On the other hand, the inhaled prostanoids, they have fewer side effects, but frequent dosing and nebulization is required, so they are also inconvenient to take. So on the one hand, prostanoids are found to be beneficial and can reduce the mortality, but they are very inconvenient and very costly. So what next? Is Selexipag is the answer. So now I shall be focusing on this point. The Selexipag is a orally effective prostacyclin receptor agonist. It is a non-prostanoid prodrug. And it is metabolized rapidly in the liver by cytochrome P450, and its active metabolite has a very high specific affinity to the IP receptors. And it has a good plasma half-life of 8 hours, and the affinity to the receptor is quite specific. It binds to the these EP2 receptors specifically, IP receptors. And its bioavailability after oral administration is around 50%, and it is metabolized by cytochrome P450 in the liver and then finally excreted in the bile, and its plasma half-life is 8 hours. And it is available in tablets of 200 to 400, 600, 800, 1000, and 1200, 1400, 1600 microgram. And the starting dose is 200 microgram twice a day. And then you can increase the dose by 200 microgram BID at weekly interval. And the maximum dose which is can be given is 1600 microgram twice a day. And maintenance dose is basically determined by the tolerability. Patient is able to tolerate that particular dose. If there is some symptoms of intolerance, then you have to stop. And these are the adverse effects. These are same as for the prostacyclin, and headache, nausea, vomiting, jaw pain, flushing, diarrhea, hypotension, paresthesia, and anxiety. They are same as prostacyclin. And point to remember is they are more frequent during the up titration phase, and they're transient and treatable. And side effect can be reduced by, if you advise the patient that please take this medicine with the food, then these side effects can be markedly reduced. What precaution one should take while prescribing this Selexipag? In patients with pulmonary veno-occlusive disease with PAH, it can produce pulmonary edema, so it's a contraindication. And in moderate hepatic impairment, one has to reduce the dose to the half. And severe hepatic impairment, one should avoid its use because it is metabolized inside the liver. In renal impairment, you can use it till the GFR is up to 30 ml per minute. And because the safety has not been established in the during pregnancy and nursing mothers, so it cannot be used during pregnancy or during breastfeeding. And pediatric use is also, safety has not been established, so should not be used as of now. What about the drug interaction? Although it is metabolized in the liver, but it has a very low potential for drug interaction as far as the data is available. But yes, because it is metabolized in the liver, so one should be aware about the interaction with the different medicines like warfarin. It does not have any much effect on the warfarin. However, it shortens the half-life of rifampicin, and one should avoid the use with the clopidogrel. Do we have clinical data? Yes, we have clinical data. In the phase 2 study, it was a multicentric double-blind placebo-controlled trial. And in this patient, more than 18 years of multiple types of these pulmonary arterial hypertension patients were evaluated. And it was randomized in 3:1 ratio. And it was shown that it was very effective in reducing the PVR, while on the placebo arm, there was an increase in the PVR. And 6-minute walk test distance was also significantly improved. And other hemodynamic parameters are also significantly improved. And it was found to be very safe. And now we have a very good trial with very good trial data in the form of Griffon trial. It was a multinational trial. About more than 1,000 patients were randomized between selexipag versus placebo, and the dose was built up in a stepwise manner every week till 1600 microgram BID, and patients were of mixed variety, and many of these patients on the background pulmonary arterial hypertension therapy. And these were the result. A significant reduction in the composite of death or a complication was noted. And 6-minute walk test was significantly improved. And deaths due to PH or hospitalization, this endpoint was also significantly better with selexipag. However, the isolated death from any cause, it was not different. And safety profile, it was quite safe, and the side effect was same as that of prostacyclin. And the subgroup analysis also showed that it was effective across the board. And so this trial has established the role of this selexipag in the management of pulmonary arterial hypertension. We have subgroup analysis and subgroup analysis in patients who are already receiving double combination therapy, and has shown that it is really effective and more effective in class 2 patients than class 3 patients. We have the subgroup analysis that how much is the effective. You start early within the 6 months of the diagnosis versus after 6 months of the diagnosis. It is really much more effective if you start early within 6 months of the diagnosis. And real world data is also available. And it is also significant that you can achieve good dose in most of the patient and very minimal side effect with improvement in the WHO class and other hemodynamic parameters. Now the question is, can we switch from one agent to another agent? Yes, we can switch. We have data in the form of Transit 1 study in which it was switched from the inhaled treprostinil to oral selexipag and was found to be safe and effective. And we have another trial in which the oral selexipag was switched to the intravenous and then back to the oral. And again showed it is possible. You have to use 25% higher dose than the oral dose if you use intravenously. So now finally, what is the place of the selexipag in the management of PH? As already told by Dr. Negi, that we have to do risk assessment. And after this, if patient is low risk and NYHE class 2 to 3, then one can start with the single agent or maybe double agent. And if patient is having high risk features, then one has to start with the two agents, or a patient is in the class 4 or having RV failure, then these patients are considered for the parenteral prostanoids. And this is the treatment algorithm already discussed shown by Dr. Negi. And this is the place for Selexipag. If the patient is in NIH, this WHO functional class 2, then in the low risk patient, if patient is having severe RV, moderate to severe RV dysfunction, one should add this Selexipag. In patients who are having intermediate risk for category, then one should add this Selexipag. And patients who are even in the low risk category and who are hospitalized in the last 6 months, one should try to use this Selexipag. So in functional class 2 with past history of hospitalization or intermediately high risk category or presence of RV dysfunction are indication for Selexipag. For functional class 3, I think it should be used in all patients. So just to summarize, it is the first oral prostacyclin receptor agonist for targeting the prostacyclin, and it has a potent pulmonary vasodilator as well as produces remodeling of the pulmonary vasculature. It reduces PVR with improvement in overall hemodynamics, and it is extremely convenient to use in with high patient compliance, and side effects are same as that of other prostanoid. It reduces disease progression at each tolerated dose and provide additional benefit when added to optimal background therapy. And switching off Selexipag from other therapy and back is possible. So Selexipag should be used as an add-on therapy for PH patients who are in WHO class 2 or 3 with inadequate response to dual combination of phosphodiesterase inhibitor or endothelin receptor antagonist. Thank you for your patient hearing.